What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another DIY video. Today we're working on my G80 M3 and we're actually going to be turning up the boost on this car in today's video. So I've got a nice little care package here from Keys Motorsports. We have a Dorch Engineering Flex Fuel kit. We're going to be throwing some ethanol at this car and we're going to make some real power out of this S58 motor. So let's show you guys how to do this install. So before we actually get to the install, I do want to explain a little bit about the car. So if you guys have not been following along, this is my 2022 G80 M3, 6-speed manual car, and we have already done a lot of mods, as you guys can see. So a lot of cosmetics going on. Additionally, we've got an AWE catback exhaust, as well as Project Gamma front mount intakes, which I've got a video on that install, so check that out. Additionally, I was planning to tune the car, and so what I did was I sent the DME out to Femto over in Finland. Compliments of the guys at Euro Performance Center. They are the ones that facilitated that whole DME unlock process, and then after that we have been running a boot mode stage 1 off-the-shelf map. I'm not sure the exact power level on a stage 1. It's probably mid 5s, upper 5s, something in that range. And then actually, additionally, I just purchased the rest of the boot mode bundle, map bundle, in order to be able to run some ethanol. So my plan is to eventually throw some catless downpipes on this car. Hint, hint, that's something that's coming soon as well. But I do want to be able to run a stage 1, maybe E30 or E50 map, whatever it is, through boot mode and see what that does to the car. So I'm trying to take the car in some stages, and when it comes to power levels, I do want to see what that feels like, and then eventually we're going to do, like I said, catless downpipes, and then we'll do a stage 2 tune, stage 2 ethanol tune, and then inevitably I will have some custom tuning done by F80 Paul or somebody of that nature. So just wanted to kind of update you guys with what the current mods are on the car in terms of engine modifications and power and things like that. So let's get on to the actual install for today. All right, so once again, this is from Dorch Engineering. This is purchased from Keys Motorsports, so if you're looking for a flex fuel kit, there's a lot of them out there. Went with Dorch Engineering just because Brian at Keys runs this on his personal G80 and has really great success with it, so wanted to follow suit. But when you order it, this is what it comes with. And so you do see that there is some very basic wiring instructions here on how to do this. I didn't find any actual installation instructions, on YouTube or anything from anybody yet. So hopefully this is going to be a nice, comprehensive, useful video for you guys. But as you guys can see, we've got some little wiring harnesses here, a couple little taps. This is the actual sensor itself, I believe. So a lot of these kits are very similar, but the install process is maybe a little bit different depending on the brand. So this looks like the actual sensor itself. And so I believe what we do is we connect the existing fuel lines, one on this end, one on this end. I think we even replace a line here somewhere. So we're gonna figure this out, kind of stumble through. And then I know this little dongle, this ethanol content analyzer, is what goes on the inside of the car on the passenger side. So basically what we're going to do is have to connect this in kind of the footwell area on the passenger side, and so that's what kind of some of these little wire taps are for, I believe. And then this is the additional fuel line, another connector here. So these are all the parts and pieces that come in the actual kit. And yeah, hopefully we can figure out this install relatively easily. I do want to point out, if you order this kit as of today, which is August 9th, I believe. So if you order this kit, this is kind of the instructions that they come with. They give you this little QR code that you can scan, which takes you to this website, which does not actually have instructions for the S58 motor. So just keep that in mind. They do give you, kind of this little picture here showing you connector A and connector B, and then it kind of shows you what pins we need to tap into and that sort of thing. But in terms of the actual install itself, on their website, it has nothing currently, so hopefully my video serves as a DIY. I do know that the fuel lines that we're going to tap into, you'll see it right here. This line goes all the way back behind right back there. So what we need to do, we're gonna go ahead and take off this rear strut bar right here, take off the engine cover, and I may even pull off this cover here as well. So that'll give us some more space to access that fuel line. 4 15mm nuts. 2 over here. And take this off, put it in a safe place. Next up, we're gonna get the engine cover. It's just held in by a couple little grommets here. The car's still a little warm from when I drove it, so it's a little hot. So pull that guy off, lift up, and then slide out. Also, let's talk real quick about what the purpose of a flex fuel kit is on your car. So we do have the ability to run ethanol without this actual flex fuel kit or any other branded flex fuel kit. The problem is a lot of ethanol gas stations vary in how much ethanol is actually in the fuel. And so what you basically have to do is either test every single time you go to fill up. So you can buy little test strips on Amazon or somewhere online that will actually read the actual ethanol content for you. And from there you can use an ethanol calculator online to figure out how many gallons you need in order to put in. And because if you screw it up, your car is going to end up running like shit. And so to avoid that, you can either, like I said, you can either calculate it, test the ethanol content every single time, or make your life a little easier, spend a little bit of money and buy a flex fuel kit like this, like the Dorch Engineering version that I just bought. And that way, it doesn't matter what kind of, ethanol content is coming out of the pump. It's going to, naturally read it by using this, ethanol content analyzer that comes in the kit. It's actually going to read the content for you and basically do all the math and calculate changing timing and things like that in order to make the most optimal power while maintaining reliability and keeping it safe. So for me, I think it's worth the investment to purchase a flex fuel kit like this, and just it's just an easier way to do it. I don't have to sit here and calculate everything and test every single time I'm at the gas station. I can get in, I can go pump, get in, go, and it's just so much easier. So that's kind of the purpose of running a flex fuel kit. And before we go any further under the hood here, what we need to do is actually disconnect the fuel pump. And so on these cars, the fuel pump is always located underneath the rear seat. So what I'm going to do is actually move this little baby seat out of the way. So hint, hint, the wife and I just had a baby. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to disconnect the fuel pump. So it should be underneath this part of the back seat. So all you need to do is lift that rear seat up and then unplug the actual fuel pump itself. All right, so to remove the bottom part of the seat, you just need to pull up on it, just on one side and the other. Grab it, pull up, and then just navigate it out of the seat belts. There we go. Comes right out. One big piece. All right, so now the fuel pump is actually underneath here. So what we need to do is actually pull this carpet back a little bit. So just gonna navigate it out. It's just sitting there, so just tuck it back like so. And then this is the actual fuel pump right here. I even have to turn this, there we go. That's easier. So go ahead and turn that. Let's make sure this grommet's back in. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is unplug the actual fuel pump, this one here. So there's two electrical plugs in the actual fuel line here itself. So what I'm actually going to do here is unplug the electronics from here. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and these are just little push tabs. So this one down here has got this little red tab that we need to pull up on, I believe, in order to get out. Yep. And then you should be able to squeeze it in order to get it out. And then this one here is just another squeeze plug as well. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect those two. As you guys can see, I've got both of these little plugs disconnected. So again, it's got this little red tab here. So you can see that it locks it in. So what you need to do is, and when it's still plugged in. You just need to push this little red tab up and then squeeze this part right here and pull up at the same time. This one here has this little push pin right here. Just push that down and slide it out. So now we've got this disconnected. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the car on a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I'm gonna let the car run until the car stops on its own. So it should disconnect all the fueling and no longer send fuel to the motor. So what we're gonna do is turn it on and off a few times until it no longer turns on. So that's 2. You can tell it's starting to bog down a little bit. Do it maybe 1 or 2 more times. All right. So it took 4 times to basically remove all the fuel out of the line. So now we should be good. Good to go. All right, now that we've got that taken care of, what we're going to do is come back under the hood here, get yourself a little rag, because what we're going to do is disconnect this fuel line right here that goes all the way back down there. So we're going to disconnect it back there as well as up here. So there is going to be a little bit of fuel left in this line, so just make sure you get yourself a rag. But you guys will see here there's this little gray clip, this little locking clip, so we need to remove that. Just be very careful to not drop it in the engine bay. So it just comes right out, just like that. So there's one here, as well as one back there. You can hopefully see that. And so what we're gonna do now is we need to basically push this in, this black piece in, and pull out that way at the same time, and it'll disconnect the line. All right, so we're gonna push up on this black line, and then also push just like that. So I obviously didn't have my towel in the right spot, so we just sprayed fuel all over the place. But that's basically it. So you guys can see here, the black piece here, it moves. So you need to push it in and pull out at the same time. So push in, pull out. It's very, very easy to do. I clearly misjudged how quick that was gonna come out. So here you go. Next thing we're gonna do is remove that little gray clip and pull the line off. Same process as the front part here. And there might be a little bit of fuel left in it, but not nearly as much as what just happened the first time here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that and pull that off. Now this one, you gotta be real careful to not drop this little clip, because if it goes down into the abyss, you're basically screwed. And it's hard to get 2 hands back here, but I'm gonna try. Okay, there we go. Just like that. So put that aside, and then same thing. Going to push the black piece in and pull out. So, yep, a little bit of fuel left in there, but not a lot. And then we're gonna navigate this fuel line out entirely. And it'll just evaporate. So if you happen to spill it somewhere, just clean off what you're doing here and you should be okay. And then this is the fuel line removed. So again, this is the little black piece I was talking about. You can see that it kind of moves in and out. So what you need to do is pull it in, or there it is, out. So you need to push it in and then pull out at the same time, and it'll release. So just snaps into place. So that one's out. Okay, now what we're gonna do is move on to the Dorch fuel line. And so you'll see that we've got this nice little fitting here. This is gonna go, on this blue side, is gonna go into the back part of the OEM fuel line right there. And then this black side is going to connect to the actual sensor right here on this side. So it'll go like that. And this plug will be down in this area. So this is your orientation. And on this side here, we're going to connect the fuel line, the provided fuel line right there. And then this will get routed over back to this first fuel line and connect right there. So you'll see that these little connections are different from those little gray connections, little locking pieces, and so this is kind of the orientation, so that's what to expect. So I'm going to construct this one here on the table, pull all this little red piece off here, and then all you need to do is slide this into place, I believe. Let's see here. So we need to unscrew this first, I believe, and then put it on this side of the ring, so it'll slide in. Let's see here. So it'll slide in just like that, and then you want to go ahead and connect it. Let's see here, push it on. Okay, so it's going to sit just like that, tightens down, and it's not going to come out or anything. It's locked into place at that point. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll pull off this, unscrew this blue side, put this onto the actual stock fuel rail or fuel line, and then screw this back in. So just to show you guys that again, I'm going to take this piece off, and you can see that. Let's see if I can unscrew this. There we go. So this just screws and threads right into place. And so this is the piece that you want to make sure you get. See the little cutout here in the collar? Put it on just like that, and then screw it back on. You kind of need to push it on until it grabs. There we go. All right, so nice and tight. And then we'll get this side on. And before I hook it up to that side, I'm going to go ahead and screw this side on while I'm here. Might just be easier so to get my hands back there. So same idea. I'm going to put this on like so. And then we're going to take this new fuel line provided and screw it on into place. There we go. All right. There we go. Nice. I really like those connections. Super nice, high quality stuff right there. Very, very cool. Okay, a little progress report update for you guys. As you guys can see, I do have that all back in there. So I went ahead and connected the lines. It's not all snug down yet. And then I also ran it this way and connected it here. So just the exact same way I just showed you guys how to put that together. I just installed it. I will say it did take me quite a while just because I actually dropped the little blue collar back there, dropped it down, way down into the abyss. So I had to spend some time trying to find it, and I had to jack the car up and try to pull some panels off to see if I could find it. Eventually I found it. Actually Kevin found it, so Kevin came down here to help me and he found it, and we were able to reinstall it up there and get it all buttoned up. So I do recommend putting like a microfiber towel or something underneath that area just so you don't drop it. Same thing with this area as well. Even though this is on top, you can still have the ability to drop it. Ask me how I know. I actually dropped it on this one too. So made a couple of mistakes. That's completely my fault, but we were able to fish this one out. This one didn't drop very far, but we were able to fish it out. So just keep in mind, that sort of thing. Put a microfiber towel underneath both of these connections while you're screwing everything in, just because these collars can fall, and you just don't want to deal with that like I did. So that's why we're on day 2 of this install now, because I did spend quite a bit of time last night trying to find those 2 collars, but everything is in here. And the other thing I do want to mention is we do want to kind of snug these down a little bit. You'll see that there's the ability to put a wrench on here. So I believe it's a 3/4 inch wrench. Yep. We use a 19 millimeter actually, or 3/4 inch wrench. You can put one on each side here, one here, and tighten it down. You just want to make it snug. There's no actual torque specs, but super nice, high quality parts here. Really nice fitting, and we won't ever have to worry about these popping off at all. I know some other brands out there have that issue where they can pop off, but these are not going to pop off at all. So super high quality. Just make sure you snug them down. Once you've got this all buttoned up, all your connections are all tightened down and snug, what we're going to do is move over to this side. So we're going to go ahead and remove this panel. We need to get access to the firewall in order to run some wiring that connects into that sensor down to here, through the firewall, and down to the passenger footwell. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take this apart. So you need to unscrew this little piece here, pull this little line up, and then we're going to take this off. It pops right out, and then you'll see that we've got access to this little cavity here. So down in there you'll see there's a grommet. We've got ability to get through the firewall that way and run some wiring. Then what we're going to do here is move to the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and pull this trim piece off, as well as down underneath here there's a trim piece underneath the glove box we need to get off as well in order to remove this trim piece. All right, for this it's just compression clips holding this in, so you just need to pull up on it. Just like that. So sometimes these little white clips don't come out, so just take a trim tool later and pull these out. Just gonna move this to the side for now. And then down underneath here, we've got to unscrew, and then this tray will come out and down, and we need to remove the light. So you can either disconnect it or push it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it. Pull that off. So this is the tray underneath the glove box. And then once you get this under tray off, we're going to remove this. So we just need to pull this out. Same thing, it's got a couple clips. Just pull like that. Ah, there we go. Don't be afraid to pull on it hard. You may break a couple clips as well. You'll see that there's a white clip here, and there should be one here and here. These are the hardest ones to get off, obviously. So looks like we broke that one. So it's always good to have some extra clips like this around. So we'll get that one out. Yep, both of those are a little bit broken, so I'll replace those. But this gives us access to the panel back here. And these are going to be connectors A and B that I showed you guys earlier. Okay, then moving back over to the engine bay, we're going to take this supplied wiring harness here. This plugs into the actual sensor, flex fuel sensor, which is over there. We're going to run this wire back through here and then down into this cavity. So actually right behind this little piece here, we've got an access point, so we're going to run the wire through there and down into the passenger footwell. And then to gain access back here, just take a little trim tool, pull that off, and then we should be able to pull this felt piece back, and you'll see that there's a rubber grommet right here. All right, so you'll see that there's that rubber grommet right there. So we're just going to grab that, pull that out, and you'll see that there's some foam back in here, so we're going to have to navigate our wire. You can either puncture a hole through the foam or try to navigate it down. I'm going to try to go down, so I might use like a clothes hanger, you know, something metal like a wire or something to fish it down and see if I can grab it. And just to show you guys what I did here, you can see I've got a flathead screwdriver through, so there's a little bit of foam back there, but there's also a rubber piece that kind of goes behind the foam into the footwell there. So you need to puncture that in order to create a hole. And then in the footwell here, you'll see where my screwdriver came through. Let's see here. Get in here for you. Right here, you can see my hole. So I'm gonna make that hole a little bit bigger just to make sure I can get my wire through, but that's where it comes out at. And actually, now that I'm looking at this wiring harness that we're feeding through, it actually comes with a new little grommet right there. So that's already got the hole through it, which is awesome. So we can just push that all the way through. So we're gonna push this end right here through that hole, and then this will give us a nice seal, and we can retain the stock little grommet just in case we ever need to revert back. So nice little touch there. So go ahead and feed the wire through. And a word of the wise here, before we actually run this through, I'm actually going to connect it over here on the actual sensor first and run my wiring this way, because what I'm actually going to do is, in order to get it from this part of the engine bay into that compartment, we have to either follow this line here that punctures through, or we can actually punch a hole back here. There's a little spot right here where some other thing could be punctured through, so I'm actually going to puncture a hole there and run my wire out that direction. So you want to do that first before you run this wire through the firewall there, so just keep that in mind. So I did the same thing, took a screwdriver, punctured a hole right through that little section right there in order to run my wire that way. Okay, so I've got my plug down in there, plugged in, put a little zip tie right there, and I'm running my line through. And this is a little bit harder to do it this way, but I think it makes for a cleaner, more OEM type install. And so, as you guys can see, like, it takes some time, but to puncture the hole and make sure the wiring goes through. But I'm gonna feed it through this little grommet, super tight, really nice fit. Keep it OEM as much as possible. So, I really like the conduit that they give you here. It just looks so OEM, and we can tuck, you know, wires underneath here and use a couple more zip ties and clean it all up. And you'll never know that it's actually here. So that's kind of the goal, is to make it disappear, as you guys can see. And now we've got this nice grommet here, protecting everything away from the heat, and everything's shielded. And then on this side, you can see I've got all my wire, all my spare wire, so we're gonna feed this now through. And so just so you guys know, I did pull the grommet off of here temporarily to feed it through that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that grommet back on once I get it through there. So this is what my wiring looks like. And I've got a lot of extra slack, so I've pulled a lot of it through, but as you guys can see, I still have some here, so I'm going to leave it here. And the grommet fits perfectly, so all I'm going to do is fold this little foam piece back, put it back into place, and secure my wiring all back in there, and make sure that it all looks nice and neat. Put this thing back on, just like that, and looks super clean. You'll never know that it's there. I'll tuck this wire back in here. Lock the foam. There we go. So that's what that looks like. Super clean. Looks OEM, factory finish. And that portion's done. So we can go ahead and button this up at the end as well. Okay, now as you guys can see, I've got my wire here with plenty of slack. So anything extra we'll just tuck behind the carpeting here. But we're gonna pull this back. We need to access connector A and B here, so we're going to pull this little plastic piece out. It's just kind of compression fitted in there. There, just like that. Pull this wire up out of the way. There we go. Push this back a little bit. So I cut my finger. So we're gonna see all these connectors back in here. That gives us access a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and disconnect A and B. All right, so moving back into the car here, I did confirm with Dorch Engineering that connector A and B are the following. So connector B is going to be the black and green up here. And then connector A is going to be the black and green connector down here. And so the instructions currently don't exist, but those will be out very, very soon, probably by the time this video is live. But I do just want to call that out, that I did confirm that this is connector B up here, black and green, and then black and green down here is connector A. So we're gonna start by pulling those two connectors out, and then I'll explain how to do the rest of the wiring and what pins we need to get to. So in order to get these out, we need to basically, there's not a ton of room to work, which is more difficult, but you squeeze the black tab, push the green down, and it should pull out. So it's a little locking mechanism. So as you guys can see here, I'll show you guys again. When this is closed, this is how it looks. So if you squeeze these two tabs left and right, it'll release this little green lock, pull it down, and it'll come right out. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start here on connector A, and I'll show you guys how to wire this up with the new Dorch system. Okay, so I'll bring you guys back to the table real quick just to explain. So again, this is what we're doing. This is going to be connector A is the bottom green and black. Connector B is the top green and black. So on letter A, if we follow the instructions, these are correct. So we're going to follow A. A is this bottom section here. So we have this new wiring harness. This will plug into the Zytronics analyzer up here. So this will plug in right there, just like that. And then down here you'll see that we've got, this is going to be for connector A, and then the yellow section is going to be for connector B. And so if we follow the steps here on connector A, we're going to insert the brown wire, which is this one here, the brown wire into pin 24 on connector A. And then we're going to insert the green wire right here into pin number 2 on connector A. And then this will get plugged into the actual chassis harness. So, and then same thing, we'll get to connector B after we finish A. Okay, so once again, this is connector A, and so we're going to find pin number 24 first. And so if you look really closely, which you won't be able to see on camera, all of these pins are numbered. So it actually is in reverse order. So it's, number 1 is here, goes to 15, and then goes up here to 16, all the way to 27. So it's reverse order. So what we need to do is find number 24. And so this is 27, 26, 25, 24 is the fourth one in on the second row on the bottom here. So this is going to be in the blue. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a little flathead screwdriver here, and we're going to push out this blue. So it's easier to stick a screwdriver here on the top and then push on the bottom, just like that. I'll push that out a little bit more. There we go. Since these are kind of wired together, I think we're probably gonna have to pull out this brown one as well, just to make our lives a little bit easier. So you'll see the same thing. I'm going to push this in from the top. Let's see. Gotta use some thin flatheads here, so I don't want to break anything. There we go. Push this one from the bottom. Here we go. There, now we can pull this whole thing out. So let's remember that the higher numbers are brown, the lower numbers are the blue. Because once this comes out, we don't want to mess that up. All right, so now we're going to work on number 24. And also they're numbered here as well. So if you look super close, you can see number 24 is right there. So we're going to take this little guy and push out. So it should be this brown wire here. It's a little bit cumbersome, I will say that. So if you can't get a small screwdriver in, I'm using this little pick tool here, a little fine tip on it. And there I'm able to pull out number 24. Let's just verify. Yep, that's number 24. And so what we're going to do is connect brown wire from the harness, from the Dorch harness, into number 24.
So this is gonna go right back in to its spot. Let's see here, it only goes in one direction. Just make sure you take your time here. There, and it's snapped into place, so that's good. So that one's good. And then we're gonna do insert the green wire. This one here from the harness, from the Dorch harness, into pin number 2 on the connector. So number 2 is down here, and it's actually going to be this one right here. So same thing, I'm going to flip this over, take my pick tool and push number 2. There we go. Just need to push it out a little bit. Boom. That's how you get it out. And then we're going to take the green wire here from the Dorch harness and reinsert. Again, only goes in one direction. Into number 2. Line it up carefully. Push it until it clicks into place. So just like that. Okay. And then in our little bag of parts from Dorch, they give you a new connector here. So it's going to be 1 and 2 here. And so we're going to follow suit. And so we're going to navigate my wires around here a little bit. There we go. So we're going to take the wires, the original wires that we disconnected. So here's the brown. The brown is going to go into, let's see here. It's gonna be brown and green, right? Let's not get these all tangled up here. Okay. So again, the brown needs to meet the brown. And so the way this is gonna go in is like so. And so we wanna make sure the brown goes into the brown. So it's gonna go on this side. Goes into the green on this side. Make sure they're both in, and then you can go ahead and plug these in, and we'll make sure that, let's see, the brown goes in the brown. Brown goes into brown. Yep. There you go. So brown and black go into brown and black. Green goes into green. So that section is good. And now we can go ahead and put the connector back on here. So same thing, we're going to flip this back over. Or, I'm sorry, it goes like this. So brown goes in this way. So this is the higher numbers. Yep, 54, 54. So we just want to verify that that's correct. Push it in until it clips in. And then same thing with this. We're going to push this in until it clips in. Let's see here, line it all up here. There, okay. Make sure they're all plugged in, and that's good to go. You'll see that our wires are all still intact, which is the important part here. And now we can move on to the other connector, connector A. So I'm actually going to plug this one back in, just so I don't get them confused here. Hopefully I have enough slack as well. Okay, so we'll take this, plug it back into its slot here. Boom, there we go. So that locks back into place. Make sure that it locks in, and that one's good to go. And now we can work on connector B. So same thing, we're gonna grab it here by the 2 black prongs, and simultaneously pull the green down. It's hard because there's not a lot of room. There we go. All right, and then we'll do the same thing. We don't have very much slack here at all, so we gotta pull this one out. Let's see here if I can get a little bit more. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to release the gray out of here. See if I can get it out. With connector B up here, you have to release the pin, or release this section here, the gray, because we're doing pin 47, 48, which is on this gray section here. So it's a little bit harder to get out because we don't have any room to work, but having multiple tools helps. Just take your time. This one's a little harder. So just pull that out. You'll see we're making a little bit of progress there. Okay, and then so looking at the wires here, 47 and 48, number 47 is the yellow and black wire, which is this one right here. And then right next to it is 48, and that's going to be yellow and white. So we're going to go ahead and pull both of those pins out. So 47 is black and yellow, 48 is white and yellow. So same idea, go ahead and pull both of those wires out here. All right, so then you can see right there is 47 and 48. So again, 47 is the black and yellow. So we're going to insert the black and yellow from our harness into that same spot. Let's see here, okay. So that's the first one. So this is from the Dorch harness now. So we're gonna put that in the first slot, 47. Until it clicks in. And then 48 is going to be white and yellow. So slide that into number 48. Come on. Okay, make sure they click into place, and then we'll take the original ones and same thing. Black and yellow to black and yellow. So we'll go back to our little Dorch goodie bag, pull out this little piece here, make sure that this is going in the right slot. So it's gonna go like that. Okay, and so we know that the black and yellow is on that side. So black and yellow is going into slot number 2. Only goes in one way. Until it clicks in. And then same thing with the other one. Put it in until it clicks in. There we go. So they're both in, nice and snug. And then go ahead and connect it until it goes into place there. There we go. And then we'll confirm that black and yellow is black and yellow, and white and yellow is white and yellow. So we're good to go there. And then we can go ahead and slide this back into place, which is going to be pretty difficult to do, I think. Let's see here. It goes like that. Make sure you don't cinch any wires. And push it in. Same thing, this will click into place as well. There we go. Back in. Okay. And that should be good to go. And we can plug that back in. Let's just double, triple check. Okay. Yep. So that's all in there, and then we can go ahead and plug this connector B back into place. Lock it in. Now we're good to go. So we've got both of those connected. Go ahead and squeeze that back into place. Wait. Go ahead and tidy stuff up. There we go. All right. So you'll see that's how we've got it now. And let's redo this a little bit. Okay. Just don't want to cinch any wires. Okay. There. So that's how it looks, like that. And now we can plug this into our Flex Fuel analyzer. All right, so then the final step of wiring, we're going to take the Zytronics content analyzer here. We're going to plug in the bottom from the connector A and B here that we just connected. Make sure it clicks in. Let me do that again. Yep, that's in there. Okay, so make sure that's plugged in. And then we'll take our wiring harness from the actual sensor itself that we fed through the firewall, plug that in. That clicks into place, and now this is all wired up and ready to go. So now really all we need to do is tidy up all of this stuff, put it all back together, and put our interior trim pieces back in, and we're good to go. And at this point, everything's all buttoned up, as you guys can see here. Got everything back into place, all the trim pieces are back in, you can't see anything. It's like that little Dorch analyzer, fuel content analyzer is not even there, so everything's all back in. Everything fit perfectly, nothing's broken, and so that's all good. So now we can move back up here and go ahead and reinstall the engine covers and the strut brace, and then we can go ahead and reconnect our fuel pump back here. So we'll go ahead and plug these two back in and put the seat back in, and we are good to go.
All right, guys, that wraps up the Dorch Flex Fuel Kit install on the G80 M3. Pretty much after that, after you've gotten everything buttoned up, you can go ahead and go get some ethanol, change the tune through whatever tuning software you're using. In my case, it'd be boot mode. So I went ahead and already did that. This is fast forward a couple days later, and the car has been running really, really great on an E30 Stage 2 tune at the moment. So yeah. Pretty simple install for the most part. Again, they should have instructions out, fast forward, a couple days here, and by the time this video is up and running, they should have some actual instructions out on their website, but feel free to use this video as a guide to kind of follow the instructions that I, offered you here on the video. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything that we've done, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.